Welcome and good evening. We are delighted that you have joined us to celebrate Dr. Jeffrey Smith, Superintendent of Hampton City Schools, in his journey of leadership and education and contributions to our community. I am Tamia Kelly, a current ambassador and International Baccalaureate Academy Ambassador at the Hampton High School, and I'm honored to be a part of this program as one of the Masters of Ceremony this evening.
And I am Aaron Bunn, a sophomore at the Hampton High School, where a legacy of excellence continues. I am also an International Baccalaureate Academy Ambassador and one of the Masters of Ceremonies. We are excited to be a part of this great evening as we reflect on the strong leadership and vision of Dr. Jeffrey Smith.
That's correct, Aaron. Tonight will certainly be a time to celebrate not only Dr. Smith, but the many accomplishments of Hampton City Schools. At this time, we would like to welcome to the stage Chair of the Hampton School Board, Dr. Richard Mason, to give the opening remarks.
All right, thank you, Tamia and Aaron, and welcome everyone to this evening's celebration. On behalf of the school board, we thank you for your support of our great school division and our superintendent for the past 8 years, Dr. Jeffrey Smith. Now, before we go any further this evening, please join me in giving a warm welcome with a round of applause for our honoree and his family, Dr. Jeffrey Smith, Dr. Lori Ann Smith, Miss Lauren Smith, oh, there she is right there, and his son, who could not be with us this evening, Mr. Joshua Smith. I thought you were going to miss your opportunity to applause for a minute there, but no, you guys are doing great, all right? So also at this time, I'd like to introduce our elected officials, division leadership team, and other guests. Please hold your applause until all recognitions are complete. From our school board, we would like to welcome Dr. Tina Banks, great Vice Chair, Stephanie Afanja, Mr. Joseph Kilgore, Mr. Jason Samuels, and Dr. Reginald Woodhouse. Ms. Ann Cherry could not be with us this evening. She had a family emergency, but she certainly sends her best to Dr. Smith and his family. Also, we have our student representatives with us this evening, Muhammad Al-Safar, Vicky Chen, and Tamia Kelly, who was one of our MCs that you saw earlier just a minute ago. We also have from our city council with us this evening, our Mayor Donnie Tuck, Vice Mayor Jimmy Gray, council members Chris Bowman, Councilman Steve Brown, Councilwoman Hope Harper, Councilwoman Martha Mugler, and our city manager, Mary Bunting. Our federal officials we have with us this evening, we have one of the busiest men in Congress with us, Congressman Bobby Scott. Now he'll be gone in a few minutes because he has probably like 8 other things to get to before midnight, all right? We also have Senator Mamie Locke with us, Delegate A.C. Cardoza, and Delegate Juwan Ward with us. From the Hampton City Schools Division Leadership Team, Ms. Ann Bain, Dr. Stacia Barreau, Dr. Daniel Bowling, Ms. Brittany Branch, Dr. John Caggiano, Ms. Kelly Gorel, Ms. Trina Hatcher, Dr. Raymond Haynes, and Ms. Robin Ruth. Now you can all applaud. We would also like to acknowledge our sponsors and give a big thank you to them for being strong community supporters. Our presenting sponsor this evening is Old Point National Bank, and we're glad to have President Bob Shuford with us and his wife Lori here tonight, as well as other representatives from Old Point National Bank. And there's Bob over there. How you doing, Bob? Good to see you. We also have some supporting sponsors: Comfort Systems, Peninsula Community Foundation, Warwick Mechanical, Delta Graphics, ESS, The Hampton University, Richard Coleman, Linda and Scott Curtis, Garrett Realty Partners, Goodman Glass, INO Medic, I guess that's what it's supposed to say, Health Applications, Jeff Flowers, Mike and Nancy Petters, RRMM, Robert Smith, The Tile Shop, Molly and Forrest Ward, and Zell Technologies. Let's give them a round of applause. Now, this evening, we will reflect on our division's transformation and the many accomplishments that have occurred as a result of the leadership of Dr. Jeffrey Smith. Our academic success is the highest it has been in decades. All of our 32 schools and centers are fully accredited. Our students have earned over 25,000 dual enrollment credits since 2015. Our on-time graduation rate for the class of 2022 is 97.64%. Now, that's the highest rate in our region, and our dropout rate is below 1%, which is also the lowest in our region. Through the academies of Hampton, we have expanded our pocket academies to 16 wall-to-wall academies and 44 pathways. In the past 3 years, 100 of our students from the Virginia Peninsula Community College Academy of the College Experience have graduated with their associate degrees before even walking across the stage to get their high school diploma. Additionally, Hampton City Schools earned the distinction of being the first forward next-generation learning community in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Now, as you can see, we certainly have a lot to celebrate this evening. So thank you again for joining us as we celebrate Dr. Jeffrey Smith and his leadership in education and contributions to our community. Now, at this time, I will direct your attention to the screens for a special presentation by Ms. Ann Cherry.
Good evening, everyone. You may have heard that I recently lost my mother, and I wasn't able to attend the event this evening. But my mother loved Dr. Smith so much, and the fact that I finally finished the poem, she would not have it any other way if I did not participate. You know, Dr. Smith is one of those people that each of our school board members has a Dr. Smith story. And that's partly because not only is he an easy person to talk to, but he's a very good listener. In fact, he can cite chapter and verse, no pun intended, about something we told him long ago that we don't even remember. But we board members also know how to interact with him. So with that in mind, I created this poem that speaks to a little bit of both of those. And it's an old school poem. By that I mean, I know we all talk about poems now don't have to rhyme, but I'm old school. If it don't rhyme, don't waste my time. So I hope you enjoy this poem called Ode to Dr. Jeffrey Smith. 'Twas the night before his retirement date, and all throughout the city, school board members forced smiles on their faces, but they knew it was such a pity. Dr. Smith's departure date was here. Yes, it had finally hit home. He'd done so much for Hampton City Schools, but soon he would be gone. But we all know in all honesty that he's gonna mix the heck out of us. Because as a board member, we knew how to support him, even without making a fuss. His smile, his flair, his swag, his style, which are all very quite debonair, made each of our interactions with him done differently, but always with respect and care. So whether it's Richard's trademark, this, that, or whatever, while explaining a process to you, and how in a crisis Richard would let us all know, let me tell you what they're not going to do. And thank you, ma'am. Thank you, kind sir, coming from Tina, who's always the wiser. Though courteous and energetic, she was cautious enough to always be passing out hand sanitizer. And then there's Woodhouse, who knows that foolishness we cannot afford. So if something makes no sense to him at all, you will hear him proclaim, "Oh, my Lord." And Jason, with his Jamaican accent, "Hey, Dr. Smith," you're going to miss that a lot. And you know he's super serious when he shakes his head and says, when I tell you, Doc. And a call from you to Joe is always answered promptly. What wonderful admiration. But regardless of the call, if it's not policy, Joe's not even having the conversation. You are Miss Stephanie, who listens intently to every report with passionate eyes gazed upon the speaker, and how at the end she lets you know she's impressed, she's pleased, that there is a keeper. And me, Ann, calling you late evenings about nothing, with the sound of glasses clinking in the background. You were always so cool to pretend not to notice, even when you could plainly hear somebody yell, "Another round." We all know you well. Like every trip you made, you find a trinket for Lori Ann. Traveling for HCS was your passion. However, buying stuff for her was always your plan. And the photo of Josh and Lauren in Nashville, that beautiful scenery, but you didn't give a hoot because you made sure to point out in the photo to me their very stylish Western boots. You're a piece of work, and that's meant in a good way for everyone to hear. The board thanks you, Dr. Smith, for keeping the main thing, while you held our legacy dear. So in your next chapter, work it like you did HCS. Work it without a doubt or quiver. And as we've always said, make a plan, stick to the plan, and always deliver. Thank you, and we love you.
That was a wonderful tribute by Ms. Cherry. And now we also have another tribute, so I would like to redirect your attention to the screens once again for another video presentation. And as we take a moment to reflect on the impact that Dr. Smith has had on Hampton City Schools and the community here in Hampton.
It is a harder job, and my passion for it stems really from my childhood. When I was in kindergarten, I quite frankly did not like school. My life was impacted by poverty. I had a grandmother who was very caring, supportive, and provided for us all that she could. However, she looked to the school system to really do what she could not. And she realized that if we got a good education, that was a pathway out of poverty.
But I'm glad to say that I'm on my way.
As a school division, that we cannot do this work alone, and so we cannot work in silos. And so it's very important for us to have the business community engaged with us, collaborating with us, so that as a part of developing our curriculum, we can provide young people with relevance.
I think we have a responsibility as educators to help young people to get to that place where they can give their absolute best.
You're simply the best.
Love every minute of it. That was my responsibility. I used to do cafeteria duty. I'm so proud and honored to announce that for the first time in the Hampton City Schools history that all of our schools are 100% accredited. 95% of our students with disabilities graduated on time. That's equity for me. When we look at young people who are coming from places of poverty and the fact that they too are surpassing the state average in terms of graduating on time, that is equity for me. And I think the role of the superintendent is a critical one as it relates to keeping everyone focused on why we exist.
You'll be there between each line of pain and glory, 'cause you're the best thing that ever happened to me. You're the best thing
for me, it's about the young people, and it is about what occurs in the classrooms on a daily basis. And I don't ever want to be out of touch with that.
You want to see what I looked like when I was in kindergarten? What? Well, absolutely. Who is that guy? You think he looks like me? Just a little bit?
That's the way it's done in HCS.
Now, although I couldn't see that wonderful tribute, I just know it was wonderful. I'll ask the team to let me see it a little bit later. But at this time, I do want to call to the stage my fellow board members to the stage at this time. If you all would join me on the stage. I would also like for Dr. Smith to join me on the stage. And I didn't see Dr. Whiteman here yet. Has she made it in? Dr. Whiteman? Hey there, Dr. Whiteman, come on up. One of the things we wanted to do was find a way to certainly have a tribute to Dr. Smith. And the first thing we thought about, of course, was this celebration. Dr. Smith said no. We had to remind him we are his bosses. And we were going to celebrate him. But also, working with Dr. Whiteman, the division leadership team, the board, we came together. And we are honored to be able to name the new science wing at Kecoughtan High School, the Jeffrey O. Smith Science Wing. It's hard to fool Dr. Smith and get stuff past him. For those of you who really don't know, he is quite nosy, okay? Involved in everything, all right? So, but at this time, I'm going to turn everything back over to Tamia and Aaron, and they're going to continue to move this program forward. So thank you all once again for being here, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Before we enjoy a meal together and listen to the Fuzz Band, we would like to invite Dr. Richard W. Wills Sr. to the stage.
Dr. Wills is the former pastor of Friendship Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. He will provide this evening's invocation.
Good evening to Dr. Smith and his family, to the elected officials, Mayor Tugg. Mrs. Wills and I are absolutely delighted to be here this evening, and Dr. Smith, we're so grateful to you for the invitation to serve in such a significant capacity. Congratulations to you and to the Hampton school system. Delighted to have this opportunity to witness this grand celebration this evening. It is fitting and appropriate that we pause for prayer. And so I invite you now, if you would, to bow with me, that we might acknowledge that one who promised to lead and guide and grant every success. Let us pray together. Our gracious God, in whom we move, breathe, and have our being, we thank you for this jubilant occasion that has afforded each of us the opportunity to gather as colleagues and as co-workers, as friends and family, to congratulate your servant, Dr. Jeffrey Smith, and to celebrate the years you have allowed his stellar gifts of faith and reason to not simply equal, but collaborate to exceed the benchmarks of his tenure as superintendent. With the inquiring mind of an educator, a heart of a humanitarian, and the ethical internal compass required of all moral leadership, you successfully paved a path to this pinnacle of his 32-year career through an unprecedented pandemic, while leveraging his virtues of integrity, humility, wisdom, and sound judgment for the good of Hampton's public schools and the talented students he was sent to serve. For this exceptional model of faithful partnership, Lord, we say thank you. By the hands of many, mountains were moved. And we say thank you. Thank you for this team of fellow administrators, this team of teachers and cafeteria workers. Thank you for custodians and bus drivers and crossing guards. Thank you for this political leadership. And we especially thank you for the unwavering support of his family, his precious family. We thank you for his wife, Lori. We thank you for their children, Joshua and Lauren, and the many ways they graciously facilitated his career journey. And since you are the God of many seasons, we know that you already have a post-retirement assignment waiting in the wings for him. And so we thank you in advance for the continued health, for the continued wellness, and the discovery of those unbridled joys of service that you've positioned before him. But for now, may we thoroughly enjoy this moment with Dr. Smith and his family as we share this meal that you've provided for the renewal of our strength and the reminder of your countless expressions of love. In the name of our bread of life, we do pray, even Jesus our Christ. Amen.
First, we would like to recognize our constitutional officers, Sheriff Karen Bowden, Commissioner of Revenue Ross Mugler, and Treasurer Chris Sneed, as well as Chief of Police Gallup.
Tonight, you will hear from 6 individuals as they reflect on Dr. Jeffrey Smith's commitment to his career, community, and family. These individuals are Miss Martha Mugler, former member of the Hampton School Board, Dr. John Caggiano, Deputy Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment for Hampton City Schools, Ms. Mary Bunting, City Manager, Dr. Stuart Robertson, Chairman, President, CEO of Mosley Architects, Superintendent Emeritus of Hanover County Public Schools, and Professor of Practice at the University of Virginia, Ms. Cheryl Carrier, Executive Director for Ford Next Generation Learning, and Dr. Lori Ann Smith, Educator and wife of our honoree.
Before we invite Ms. Mugler to the stage to begin tonight's reflections, we would like to share a few words from a dear friend and supporter of Dr. Smith who is unable to join us tonight, Mr. Jack Ezell. Mr. Ezell shares, "Dear Dr. Smith, I regret that I cannot be here tonight to pay tribute to your remarkable accomplishments as superintendent of Hampton City Schools. You have made a huge difference in the lives of our citizens, and your contributions will endure long beyond your departure. My late father once said to me, 'Son, how you do it can be as important as what you do.' Jeff, you have accomplished so much by not sacrificing the civility that is absent with many of today's leaders. I have watched you treat others with nothing but dignity, courtesy, respect, politeness, and consideration. You always speak in tones that are appropriate for the circumstances while being respectful of others' right to express their views. It is the very essence of civility. You are the consummate gentleman. Good luck and Godspeed on your next ventures. I treasure your friendship, Jack Ezell." At this time, we ask Ms. Mugler to proceed up front to begin with the reflections.
Good evening. I'll move this a little bit. I'm a little shorter than the last crew up here, I guess. I am delighted to begin the reflections for Dr. Smith this evening. I was chairman of the school board at the time of Dr. Smith's hiring in 2015, and it was an audacious task that our school board had before us to select our next superintendent, and we knew that we had to get it right. My colleagues at the time, many of them are here, Mr. Joe Kilgore, Jason Samuels, Dave Pearson, Monica Smith, and the late, great Butch Harper. We were all on the board together at that time, and we did our very best to create what we thought was an ideal search for the best fit for Hampton as superintendent. We had an outstanding list of very, very highly qualified public education professionals. The competition was fierce, but Smith quickly rose to the top of the field. He was unmatched with his mild-mannered demeanor, his quiet confidence, and his broad experience as a teacher, a principal, an administrator, and superintendent, and a track record of substantiated success. We found him close by here in Virginia, in West Point, and it was a national search. We interviewed folks from all across the country. As we sat in our final interview with Dr. Smith, we shared about 8 to 10 high priorities, high performance measures that we felt we needed a special person to come in and tackle. We had lagging test scores in need of serious improvement, an aging stock of school buildings and facilities, a newly launched one-to-one iPad initiative that was in need of growth and curriculum alignment at the time, a higher than appropriate dropout rate, sluggish graduation rates, the challenge of a full launch and implementation of wall-to-wall academies with Ford Next Generation Learning that would bring about transformative change to our secondary schools and is now known as the Academies of Hampton. We needed someone to come in and improve division-wide morale as we came off of a significant budgetary constraint cycle that was brought about by the economy and significant budget cuts out of Richmond at the time. We had significant pockets of poverty in Hampton, and we had the absolute moral obligation to provide opportunities and ensure that all of Hampton's students could reach their highest and best potential. Oh, and we probably needed a full update and realignment of our curriculum. So what do you say, Dr. Smith? That doesn't sound too tough, does it? Right? So he accepted our challenge, and he started with Hampton City Schools in July of 2015. He started with what he called a look, listen, and learn tour, and he went and visited every crevice of Hampton City Schools. And when he reported back to the school board and the community with a 60 or so page full color booklet, like he does everything, he didn't say, "Hampton City Schools, you all are a disaster in need of desperate repair." He said, and I quote, and this is my favorite quote of Dr. Smith's, "We're going to build from places of strength." And that's exactly what he did. I believed when we hired him that he was going to be a good leader. All of his recommendations, everyone said he was going to be a good leader. But in that moment, I knew he was going to be a great leader because of that phrase. And for me, that was a sign of a great leader. Dr. Smith formed a division leadership team, second to none, and he went to work, and you all know the rest. Hampton's test scores have risen. Our schools became fully accredited. Our graduation rates are above state and national averages. Our dropout rates are below state averages. We have a successful one-to-one technology initiative. There has been significant revitalization and renovation of our schools, as was mentioned in the video earlier. A nearly complete science and math wing at Kickingham High School and an identical wing teed up to begin at Bethel High School. He has seen to the success of the complete and successful launch of the academies of Hampton. Dr. Smith forged unprecedented relationships with the city manager and the city council, a municipal marvel that all other communities are jealous of. There have been many a curriculum overhaul under the direction of Dr. John Caggiano, a curriculum vault and package that HCS now sells to other school divisions. Who does that? Little did we know when we brought Dr. Smith on board that all of these things would in fact be accomplished, and that he would rise to the prominence that he has at the local, state, national, and international level for his leadership, and especially for his leadership in the academies of Hampton. He was named as the Virginia Superintendent of the Year, and was a national finalist for Superintendent of the Year. Now, it wasn't constant rainbows and flowers, and butterflies. Dr. Smith and I had a few tense conversations along the way about, how quickly are we going to eliminate these PCs? Now, I'm not talking about political correctness, right? Many of you in this room know that a PC is a portable classroom. I called them rusty trailers, but we needed to divest ourselves of them. And of course, I had to ask him, why are we painting our schools maroon and gold as if we are trying to replicate the National Center for the Redskins headquarters? And why on earth would we transition from iPads to Chromebooks for our one-to-one initiative? And he would gently, with his velvet gloves, pull me off of the ceiling and get me straight again. He was smart when he went about his work. I once brought up the subject of rusty trailers and dilapidated, rusting portable air conditioners hanging out of the classrooms of our band and choral rooms at our middle and high schools. And he quickly addressed those issues, but he was very crafty, very smart about it, too. Of course, where do you think he started? It was the school that he knew Martha Mugler would drive by every day on her way to work. I love this man. I know most of you in this room also do, or you wouldn't be here. And I know most of you maybe have experienced his handshake. And it's really very special, and I know he does not realize he does this, but if you have had the occasion to have a handshake from Dr. Smith, I'm going to demonstrate it for you, because he will walk up in his very dignified way, as he is a very dignified man. And he will come right up. And you know, he will knock your socks off. And in fact, I don't even wear socks anymore. To Dr. Smith's wife, Lorianne, and to Lauren, and to Josh, who's not here tonight, we want to thank you for sharing him with us. So many people have asked me over the last few months, aren't you so sad that Dr. Smith is retiring? And I would respond, yes, I am very sad that he is retiring. But I had to tell people, you know, the national average superintendency is 4 years. We got him for 8 years, so we got him for double the national average. He owes us nothing. And, you know, we're so happy that we managed to keep him for that long. Dr. Smith, I know you gave me 3 to 5 minutes. I'm not sure I stayed in that cap, but I'm so honored you asked me to speak tonight. I want to say congratulations on your accomplishments and many accolades that you have received, and I'm sure will continue to receive. We thank you so much for all that you have done for our community and our young people. Congratulations on your well-deserved retirement. Thank you. And now I will turn things over to Dr. John Caggiano.
Just for the record, I am not Ross Mugler. Ross Mugler is right over there. But I do have the good fortune of following Mrs. Mugler this evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and esteemed colleagues. For those I've not met, my name is John Caggiano, and I've had the pleasure of working alongside Dr. Smith during his tenure in Hampton City Schools. On behalf of the division leadership team and the entire HCS family, I am pleased to be able to share a few words with you all this evening regarding our beloved superintendent. Tonight, we gather here to celebrate and honor an extraordinary leader who has made an indelible impact on our education community. It is with great admiration and a touch of sadness that we bid farewell to Dr. Smith, who is retiring after 8 years of remarkable service in Hampton and 32 years, as indicated earlier, of dedication and commitment to public education. During Dr. Smith's time in Hampton, we have witnessed firsthand his dedication, visionary, and transformational leadership, and strong commitment to the success of our students in our schools. Working with him, one quickly recognizes his unparalleled passion for teaching and learning, an unyielding belief in the potential of every student, and an unwavering commitment to equity and inclusivity. Under his leadership, as mentioned earlier, and building from places of strength, our school division has thrived, reaching new heights of excellence and becoming an exemplar for others to follow. Beyond his impact on education, as mentioned earlier, Dr. Smith has also been a champion of community engagement and collaboration. He has worked closely with our school board, city council, city manager, and staff to foster strong partnerships with local businesses, organizations, and community leaders, recognizing the importance of a holistic approach to education. By forging these relationships, our schools have become integral parts of the community, nurturing a sense of pride and shared responsibility. As you entered this evening and came in that door, you walked through some of our graphics department's finest work, and you had the opportunity to see some evidence of the successes our school division has experienced under Dr. Smith's leadership, many of which are also noted in the booklets that are at your tables this evening. The growth of the academies model, the transformation of learning spaces, 100% of schools accredited, an all-time high graduation rate, and an all-time low dropout rate, just to name a few. I'd also like to share, if it's okay with you, boss, a few behind-the-scenes things that we've all come to learn and love from Dr. Smith. Some of you may know this, but Dr. Smith has a number of kind of go-to phrases or expressions that some of us refer to as Smithisms. I don't think you've ever heard that term. Smithisms. So he would use these from time to time when getting a point across or sending a message. For example, one of his favorites, the proof is not in the pudding, the proof is in the taste of the pudding. Often challenging us to think through minute details and unintended consequences when making decisions or thinking through the implementation of new initiatives. Additionally, as mentioned earlier, it did not take us long to learn that Dr. Smith possesses the memory of an elephant. We learned quickly that if you don't remember what you told him, he certainly remembered what you told him. So if you said you were going to do something and you didn't do it, he would either help you remember what you said, or he would ask the question, now help me understand why you didn't, fill in the blank. Members of the DLT also learned that while he has a decent, pretty good poker face, he could easily tip his hand when reaching a point of frustration with us, members of the division leadership team. You knew he needed you to hear him when he said, and I'll insert Anita Owens' name here, Owens, listen to me. And you really knew he meant business when he would tilt his head, point a finger, repeat that phrase, throw in an extra word, along with speeding up the cadence. Now, a lot of us did not get this, but it usually went something like this. Haynes, listen to me. Haynes, listen to me now. I imagine Lori can probably relate and recall the use of this phrase a time or two in Dr. Smith's interactions with Lauren and Josh. Lauren shaking her head, yes. As we begin to bid farewell to Dr. Smith, we certainly do so with mixed emotions. While we will miss his guidance, his wisdom, and his unwavering dedication, we take, Miss Mugler's usually the crier. We take solace in knowing that his influence will continue to shape the future of education in our school. In our school division long after he has retired. We are grateful for the foundation he has laid, the vision he has shared, and the impact he has made. I'm almost done, boss. On behalf of the entire leadership team, the faculty, staff, and students of our division, I want to express our deepest gratitude to Dr. Smith for his years of service and his relentless pursuit of excellence. As you embark on this new chapter in your life, may the memories of your time with us bring you immense pride, and may your journey be as remarkable as the one you leave behind. Thank you, Dr. Smith. At this point, I'd like to call to the stage City Manager Mary Bunting.
Thank you all. It's hard to sum up in 3 minutes, which is what we were given, what Dr. Smith has meant to our community. When Dr. Smith arrived, our school system, although very good, was not regarded as such. With much hard work and dedication, and more importantly, transformational leadership, our school division is now great, among the most highly regarded in the Commonwealth. The transformation which has occurred is nothing less than extraordinary and exceptional. And while Dr. Smith would rightly be very careful to give appropriate tribute to all of the Hampton City School employees, teachers, administrators, parents, and students, we all know that his leadership was instrumental in making it happen. What many of you may not know is how truly rare it is for a superintendent to invite a city manager into the transformation process, as Dr. Smith did with me. Asking me to be the co-chair of the Academies of Hampton seemed to be a natural thing for Dr. Smith to do, as he is one who not only speaks the words of collaboration, but also truly behaves in a collaborative fashion. Few cities and school divisions have the synergistic relationship that we have here in Hampton. And I truly believe their communities and students ultimately suffer somewhat due to the missed opportunities that partnership would otherwise deliver. Dr. Smith understood that there is value, not just in the city's financial contribution, but also in the human assets and knowledge the city itself can bring to the table, and the city in partnership with businesses in the community can bring to the table. With the Law and Public Safety Academy, the city implemented the 5th academy of what would eventually become our 16 academies of Hampton. Our police officers, firefighters, telecommunicators, and lawyers have all been invited into the schools so we can both enrich the educational experiences of our students, but also develop the talent pipeline for our city workforce. And we then took that model to the rest of the business community to show our businesses how they too could benefit our students and themselves by delivering an excellent talent pipeline through the Hampton City School mission to ensure that all students are career, life, and work ready. Through our partnership, we have done so much to strengthen our schools. Not just, again, in terms of funding things, although that has increased and has been important to accomplishing many of the things we talk about, but more important through the willingness to work together to make powerful things happen. As but one example, since again I'm only allowed a short time to speak, I'm particularly proud of our 2nd grade Learn to Swim program. When I suggested it to Dr. Smith as we were approaching the completion of the Aquaplex, he immediately embraced the idea. Where obstacles may have existed in other cities for such a daring initiative, there was none here in Hampton, because our partnership allows us to embrace whatever is best for students and teachers, regardless of which organization it is that needs to make it happen. We blur the lines. We're one team, one community, one transformation, right, Dr. Smith? The barriers found elsewhere just don't exist here, and that's largely due to Dr. Smith's willingness and leadership to be complementary as opposed to competitive. Dr. Smith, it has truly been a pleasure to work with you. Like all of those around you, I have been inspired by your relentless dedication to our youth. You have helped us build an incredible foundation, not just for the students taught in the division, but also for our entire community as well, as our community has enjoyed increased real estate values with people wanting to move into our city, as well as new companies wanting to come because they know that the academies of Hampton will provide a great workforce for them. We are so very glad you chose Hampton. We are sad it's time for you to leave us as superintendent, but take comfort in the team you have built, which will continue the excellent work you have led. Just last month, the U.S. Secretary of Education visited Hampton to see the academy model in action. His praise was resounding. In fact, he said the highest compliment he could pay to Dr. Smith and his team is that he would want his own children to attend Bethel High School, which was where he happened to visit. Now, I do want, yeah, absolutely. I do want to note that Principal Ralph Saunders, being very humble, appropriately piped up and noted that the secretary would have the same feelings regardless of which school he stepped into Hampton. And we all agree that that's absolutely true. But what was even more inspiring to me, frankly, than what the U.S. Secretary of Education said, which of course we were all very proud of, was how the teachers, the academy principals, and others in attendance that day spoke about the work that they had been doing and will continue to do. And it made me feel really good because, to be honest, I had been struggling with how the school board was going to be able to replace Dr. Smith. But in that moment, as I heard the words and voices of those who do the day-to-day work of transformation in our schools, and hearing their commitment, I knew it really didn't matter. I mean, of course, we want a great superintendent, and I'm sure the school board will deliver one to us. But this is not a change that happens solely because of one leader. When leadership comes just from the top, it's very easy to undo it. But when transformational leadership happens, and people from the ground up embrace the work that's being done, in this case, relevance-based instruction, it's impossible to undo it. So in that moment, I smiled and knew we would be okay, even though we were sad. The men and women of the Hampton City School Division would continue to do Dr. Smith and our community proud. I close with that because I think it's important to say that Dr. Smith has captured our hearts and minds. And when you capture the hearts and minds of the people that work and live in a community, you can do anything. Thank you, Dr. Smith, for capturing our hearts and minds over time that you've been with us. Our community is forever improved because of you. In my emotional state and wanting to get off before I started crying, I forgot to bring Dr. Stuart Robertson to the stage.
Good evening. Like all the others who have been invited to speak this evening, I consider the invitation to do so to be among the greatest honors that Jeff Smith could give to us. Jeff, thank you. And thanks to the Planning Committee, and congratulations to the school board, all the elected and appointed leaders, all of Hampton's educators, and Jeff for forming a team which is held up as a model far and wide. I'm reminded of my years as school superintendent in Hanover County and the opportunity to serve with Lori and Jeff nearly 25 years ago. Instantly, we knew that they were a team. And together, they exude love, devotion, faith, caring, and impact. And in Lori's beautiful and effective manner, she would defer from time to time to Jeff as the head of the household. Jeff, in his masterful and dutiful style, would probably point out that if he's the head, then Lori is the neck that turns that head. And we all know that to be true. Indeed, they are a team with whom I have been blessed to serve and to count as dear friends along our journeys together. At one of our elementary schools, I knew we needed a new principal who was going to give that school a blast of new instructional leadership. Jeff emerged through the selection process and absolutely filled the bill. It became apparent immediately that Jeff's English teacher-like precision, his quiet confidence, which has been called out already tonight, and his genuine, caring, and uplifting style were exactly what the doctor ordered for this school, and combined with his effective prescriptions for advancing student achievement, we knew that we weren't going to look back. But of course, as luck would have it, his career was just hitting its stride, and as you know, you can't begrudge anyone for their opportunity to be promoted, and we didn't begrudge him when he left us. But man, we knew we'd lost a gem. But we also learned that Jeff is one of those leaders, as has been noted already, whose depth is so great that they will leave an indelible print on the organization that can stand the test of time. That was certainly the case for us in Hanover, and I know that that's been the case in Westmoreland, Amelia, Williamsburg, James City, West Point, and it will be for Hampton. And I want to call attention to the fact that tonight we have Larry Hickson, who has served with Jeff as superintendent in Westmoreland and Amelia, and Carol Beers. And Carol Beers is here. She served with Jeff in Williamsburg, James City County. And indeed, Jeff's secret, or the secret to Jeff, has been and will always be, is that he's a treasure. He's a treasure for any organization fortunate enough to count him as a leader. But of course, that's not how Jeff carries himself. He doesn't view himself as your treasure. I know that, though, we are all in awe of his faith-driven life and how he seamlessly infuses his care for humanity in his day-to-day service. I think that's a large part of his treasure and what we feel. We should all be like Jeff Smith. I love him so much that I've already put in a request for him and our mutual friend Michael Thornton to preside at my funeral. I want them to be there. I want them to say good things over me. And I think they will, because that's just what they do. I'm very proud of Dr. Smith. I'm proud that he was invited to lead two robust school communities, West Point and Hampton. I'm proud of how he was one of the 4 finalists for the National Superintendent of the Year. Give it up for Jeff. And certainly a constant theme tonight, but it's been central to his effectiveness. I'm proud of how, through his Look, Listen, and Learn immersion report in Hampton, that he and the school community created solid choices and pathways for student success with the Academy's concept. I'm very proud of how he never forgets his humble beginnings, and with a high level of effectiveness, reminds us that the main thing is the main thing to keep the main thing. And by doing so, he and the community have pushed resources and opportunities to children in need. And the state, nation, and the world have taken note, especially the broadly celebrated culture of pride which defines Hampton schools is a culture every elected leader and superintendent should strive to emulate. When Jeff asked me to make comments, in his characteristic graciousness, he said, "I have grown under every person's leadership with whom I've served." I noted that, Dr. Smith. In case you forgot that you said it to me, I remembered that you said it. Well, Jeff, you've propelled us all, and we learn from you, and we are far better humans, far better leaders, and far better servants because of you. And we want you to always take stock of your impact upon us. I think Bob Buford described it well in Halftime, that book written for us all to help us prepare for the chapter that you're entering now. Buford draws a distinction between the spending of economic capital and the spending of social capital, and how we as individuals should distribute each along our life's journeys. The concept of social capital is basically that you have a portion of time, talent, and measure that the Lord has issued to each of us to be invested in pursuing blessedness instead of happiness. The payoff for the investment of social capital is indeed blessedness, for indeed it is more blessed to give than to receive. Jeff, through your example and through your constant model, you are the embodiment of making the most effective and meaningful use of the social capital that the Lord has issued you. You have blessed us all. You have created capacity in everyone you've touched as a leader, as a teacher, and as a human. For certain, you're living a well-balanced, blessed life that holds great promise for all the years to come. I hope that you are taking stock in what you've built in Hampton and throughout your career so well, and the blessedness which surrounds you tonight and always. Congratulations to you, to Lori, to your family, and to the entire Hampton community. Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to welcome Cheryl Carrier to the podium.
Good evening. So, when Dr. Smith called me and asked me to give remarks, I cried. I was so honored. He probably thought, what have I done? This woman is crying on the other end of the phone. But I have to be honest, I mean, it was really an incredible honor. And then I panicked because I thought, how am I gonna articulate how much respect I have for this man and the work that he's done in 3 to 5 minutes. Actually, we were told 5, then we were told 3 yesterday. So, you know, I have no idea how long this is gonna go. I mean, I stand here and I think about all of the accomplishments that you made. And these are legacies that, you know, people will be talking about for a long time. But what I'd like to really specifically speak about is the work that you've done with the academies. I have the opportunity to be able to travel all over the United States and even internationally. And I have yet to see a leader like Dr. Smith. And I'm gonna call out some characteristics of him here shortly. In our work, first and foremost, students are at the center of everything that we do. And there's absolutely no question from the moment I met Dr. Smith that was apparent that was why he was getting involved with this program, the Academies of Hampton. And I think about, you know, the team that he's built and an incredible team, right, that has helped him do this work. And I have some characteristics that I'd like to sort of call out. One is that I think that you are a unifier. There's no question about it. You have a unique ability to bring people together. From the government, city management, employers, your own staff, you bring people together and you create a vision and you mobilize supportive actions. Your one division, one transformation approach is and still is amazing. You've weathered the storm of COVID by not giving in to the inevitable learning loss, and instead inspired the team to go deeper. And that really is a unifier. Compassion and thoughtfulness. You exude a warmth that draws you in. And I knew that in the very beginning, sitting across the table from you the day before the designation. It's authentic, it's real, and you feel it. And you truly care about who you serve. It's students, it's parents, it's community members, it's your colleagues, it's the Ford Next Generation Superintendent's Council, it's everybody in our network. Everybody feels this from you. You truly care, and it comes through, and it's authentic. Your stewardship, you have totally valued the investment that has been made by your team, the community, and it's not money. It's about time and talent and treasure, right? And while leaving this current role, you have set up a structure that is going to withstand your departure. And that is really unique. And the work that we do, we always take a deep breath when a superintendent leaves, and we wonder, has it been driven down into the system? Is it really going to survive? There is no question in my mind that the work that you've done with the Academies of Hampton is going to survive and thrive, because you have built an incredible team and the structures and processes to ensure that that's going to happen. He's also brave and bold. This is hard work, transforming a whole division. And by the way, we started this work and it was a high school transformation model. High school. That wasn't good enough for Dr. Smith. He wanted to go all the way from K-12. And he's doing it. They're doing it. And they're leading the way in our network in this work. And it's really an inspiration for everybody to come see what you're doing. The whole purpose of your work is to make sure that students are ready for college, career, and life, and that they have a joyful and purposeful life. And that's happening. But there's another characteristic I can't quite describe this other than to say he has a twinkle in his eye. And I also saw that the first time I met him. It's this look that makes you wonder what he's up to next. And he's always like, he wants to tell you, and then somebody pulls him away, but he's going to tell you, he's going to get to it. It's almost like a 5-year-old schoolboy, that's mischievous, right? And Lorianne, do you agree with that? That sort of mischievous? Yeah. But what I've come to understand is that it's not about being mischievous. It's because he has a mission. And he's always looking to improve and do things better. And he's always looking for ways to support his students. And this is why he's always pushing himself and his team to go further on behalf of young people, because he sees the potential in them. It's why you frequently hear him leading the charge with the words, okay, district people, every child, every day, whatever it takes. I can't tell you how many times that I've I've heard that, and I probably know Dr. Smith less than most people that spoke, or even in this room. I recently spoke with somebody who likes to tell the story of Michelangelo and his masterpiece, David. And he points this out, that David's masterpiece was created from a piece of marble that at least 2 other sculptors discarded. When later asked about turning an overlooked piece of stone into a masterpiece, Michelangelo's answer was something like, you know, the sculpture has always been in there. Doctor believes there is a Michelangelo, or there is a masterpiece or a David in everyone, and every student in the Hampton City Schools. As superintendent, like Michelangelo, Dr. Smith saw the potential in others. Most importantly, he saw and continues to see the potential in each and every student attending Hampton City Schools. I thought I got all my crying out, so I'm not sure I'm going to make it through this, but I know that even though you're retiring from your current role, that sparkle in your eye will continue to shine on. You'll continue to see the potential in others and help them make dreams come true. On behalf of the Ford Next Generation Learning Team, the entire Ford NGL network of communities, we salute you and look forward to continuing our sincere friendship and our most valued working relationship for many years to come. You and your accomplishments are truly an inspiration to all of us. And I know that our paths are going to cross and we're going to do some things together. And you're going to continue to inspire other communities that want to go on this journey. And so I leave you with a quote. Using your fire to ignite someone else's will not dim your light. It will illuminate the room and you will shine together. And I hope you know that you have started a bonfire in this network of ours. It's not just about lighting a flame. You've literally set a bonfire, and everybody's paying attention and watching. So I hope that you enjoy your retirement, whatever that might be. I suspect it won't be very quiet. And know that you always have a friend here. And while I'm not planning my funeral yet, I definitely think I might have you on the list of people to speak on my behalf. So, hope that's a ways off, Dr. Smith. But with that, I would like to welcome Dr. Lorianne Smith to the podium.
I have the mic now. My daughter asked me just before I came up here if I had my tissues. I said, you know I don't cry. My eyes may sweat, but I do not cry. Good evening. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who thought it not robbery to come out this evening to share in the celebration of 32 years of committed and dedicated service embodied in the man, Dr. Jeffrey O. Smith. Let's give him another hand. From the moment I found out that I was going to have the opportunity to speak this evening, I thought long and hard about what I would say and how I would say it. How do I, in just a few minutes, they told you all 3 to 5, they didn't give me a time limit, encapsulate the life and legacy of someone who has done so much for so many, for so long. Nevertheless, I'm going to try. To assist me with this task, I enlisted the input of our children, Lauren and Joshua, Jeff's mom, who's with us here, and his siblings, who are also with us this evening. I asked each of them to give me one word to describe Jeff. With those words, and perhaps a few others, I was able to weave what I will call the tapestry of his life. Anyone who knows Jeff knows that he loves literature. As an English major at Virginia Union University, his appreciation for the written and spoken word grew. With that in mind, in addition to the descriptive words from his siblings, his mom, and our children, I will incorporate a couple of stanzas from renowned writers and poets. In Langston Hughes's poem entitled Mother to Son, a mother shares her toils of her life, telling her son, "Life for me ain't been no crystal stair." She explains about the tacks and the splinters, turning corners when there's no light, just darkness. But this poem is not about the woes of her life. No, the first phrases of this poem serve as a setup for the encouragement that is to come. She tells him not to turn back and not to sit down when things get hard, because she was still climbing, and her life ain't been no crystal stairway. When I think about the words of the poem, in my mind, I see Matilda Piper Smith, Jeff's great-great-grandmother, who was a slave, sitting on his shoulder and saying to him, "Don't give up. Don't sit down because things get a little hard." In my mind, I see Susie Nash Smith, his grandmother who raised him until her passing, with every hug and every encouragement saying, "Don't you fall now. Trust the Lord. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path." No, life has not been a crystal stairway, and the journey of 32 years has not been easy, although Jeff made it look easy. There were many prayers, sleepless nights, calls, messages, board members calling, all times of the night. DLT calling, all times of the night, Raymond Haynes. But he handled it with grace and authority. When I met Jeff over 30 years ago, he would tell me about his career dreams and his goals for the future. There was one dream, to be a school administrator, and one goal, to make a difference in the lives of young people. While he did not have a tagline, the one that is used today here in Hampton City Schools, every child, every day, whatever it takes, he lived it from the moment he stepped into his first classroom as a teacher. For Jeff, it has always been about what is best for children. If you've been around him for any length of time, you are likely to have heard him say the words or ask the question, but is it right for children? Jeff has touched the lives of not only countless young people, but also the lives of the adults who were fortunate to work alongside him, as many of you have heard tonight, heard from many people. It is said that a great leader will train other leaders. Jeff set the example of leadership through his example of servant leadership. Yes, he set the bar high. A servant leader is concerned with the well-being of those under his or her leadership. A servant leader empowers others and help them to develop themselves to their full capacity. Jeff embodies servant leadership. He has mentored many leaders throughout his career, including other superintendents. In fact, He has been referred to as the Dean of Superintendents. I'm sure you've heard the saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Well, Jeff took that step onto the pathway over 32 years ago that has led him to this point. After making that first step, he has never looked back. Now, for those words that I told you about from his siblings and our children and his mom, I've incorporated them into these next few lines. He is resilient, a man who understands that one step at a time, and that done well, is a very good rule, as many can tell. He has a deep and abiding love for his family, his community, his staff, and the students for which he has been given charge. He is humble. It is his humility that draws people toward him, and his ability to articulate the most complex concepts so that all can grasp the understanding. No matter the obstacles placed before him, it is his diligence, ambition, and determination that propel him to greater heights. While no one is perfect, he managed to land in a profession for which he is perfect. These words, resilient, love for family, humility, articulate, diligent, ambitious, determined, and perfect, are the words from his siblings. When asked to describe his dad in one word, Josh immediately responded, powerful. So I asked him to explain to me, Josh, what do you mean he's powerful? He said, and I quote, the way he carries himself and command a room when he walks in just with his presence. His leadership skills and his willingness to help others. The way he speaks and grabs everyone's attention. That's powerful. That's what Joshua said. When I turned to Lauren and I said, Lauren, describe your dad for me in one word. She took a minute, and Lauren is our emotional child. Her eyes are sweating now. She turned to me and she said, hero. Her dad is her hero. She has often referred to him as Superman, especially on those moments when he visited all 32 schools on the first day of school. He and Dr. Caggiano and board members, all 32 in one day. He is her hero. He is her mentor, her sounding board, her safe place, and her guiding force. If you ask her, she will tell you that her dad makes the best grilled cheese sandwiches in the world. To sum up my perspective of Jeff's 32-year journey in education, I defer to the words of Robert Frost. Two roads diverged into a wood, and I and you, Jeff, have taken the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. His accolades are many, his influence far-reaching. His love for public education and all his possibilities that it has for young people is profound. His faith grounds him, his passion pushes him. There are so many words that one could use to describe this incredible man. You heard some of them already. Here are a few more. Educator, leader, mentor, friend, pastor, friend, husband, and the list goes on. But there is one description that supersedes them all. Child of the Most High God. My word in describing this man that I've had the pleasure to love and live with for over 30-some years is love. He is simply the love of my life. In pure Jeffrey Smith style, he wanted to tell me, how to introduce him and invite him to the stage. But if you know me, I was not having it. For 32 years, he has forged a pathway forward, and he did it his way. I'm going to do this my way. Ladies and gentlemen, stand on your feet. Welcome to the podium, none other than the incomparable, unforgettable, the man with the plan, the visionary, innovative thinker, the man of the hour, the dean of superintendents, my husband, my best friend, the love of my life, Lauren and Joshua's dad, Dr. Jeffrey O. Smith.
Lori, thank you. Simply thank you. I was like, let's get it on. Let's move on. I thought you don't have to say a lot. Just say, Jeff Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you. I'm absolutely humbled by what has transpired at this retirement celebration. Give yourselves a hand. Thank you. The past 32 years in education have allowed me to experience lots of fun, challenges, sorrows, opportunities, but most importantly, many joys and celebrations. It has been an honor and pleasure to serve as the superintendent of Hampton City Schools for the past 8 of my 15-year tenure as a superintendent. Hampton School Board, give yourselves a hand, and community, thank you. While I have not necessarily liked every minute, I have loved every day. During my remarks this evening, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about what we have accomplished as a team. I think the farewell report tells the story. Instead, I would like to take a few minutes to tell you how grateful I am to have had the pleasure of meeting and working alongside each of you while living my greater purpose. Please give yourselves a hand. While Lori was praying for me, many of you mentored and challenged me to be the best version of myself as a student, as an educator and leader, such as my first grade teacher and then a Title I reading specialist when I returned to my home school, as the principal is present this evening. Please stand, Ms. Jones. There are so many individuals that I would want to express my sincere appreciation to. First, I want to start this evening with my wife, Lori Ann, and our children, Lauren and Joshua. Lori, yes, you are the apple of my eye, and your support, devotion, and encouragement have been and remain immeasurable. You have sacrificed much to support my life's greater purpose, my passion and belief that every young person can achieve, and the belief that they deserve opportunities to achieve, and that we are responsible for using our resources and influence to prepare the next generation. I'm going to ask Lori, please stand as I present you some flowers this evening for who you are in my life. Thank you. Lauren and Josh, I am deeply grateful to you for sharing your father's time and with thousands of young people. For me, you have demonstrated what it means to be selfless. Lauren, thank you. Please stand as we present you, and I want to present you as your father and dad some flowers. Please stand. My family is present. My mother. Please stand, Mama Esther. I want to give you your flowers while you are living. Thank you for being so kind and gentle. And my mother-in-law, please stand. I want to share, thank you for sharing Lori with me. I have sisters and aunts and brothers-in-law and cousins and nephews and nieces. I want you to please stand. My money ran out, so you are not getting any flowers. Thank you for your unwavering support and encouragement. To the Hampton City School Board, please stand. Thank you for your genuine support and leadership throughout this journey and for setting in motion the idea of a farewell retirement celebration, even at my desire and pushback to quietly exit the stage and enter into another phase of life. Thank you. Please join me in acknowledging our school board members. To the Celebration Retirement Planning Committee, please stand. I want to acknowledge you, all of the members of the Retirement Planning Committee. Thank you for going far beyond your day-to-day responsibilities. You made this happen, and I want to say thank you. To my executive assistant for the past 8 years, thank you for being the person I could professionally trust. You have heard my joyful moments, and you have seen my low moments in the office, and you quickly earned my confidence and respect. I want to present you with some flowers. Miss Pam Bagley, would you kindly stand? Thank you. To every person who participated on the program, beginning with our students who shared their musical talents as we entered our MCs, let's give it up for the MCs and our student ambassadors who were present today. And each person who took the time to share reflections, thank you. I am just moved and humbled by your presence. Listen, I cannot believe that there are over 400 people who are present this evening. Thank you. Give yourselves a hand. We have local, state, and national elected officials, as well as our mayor and city manager, all who are present. Thank you for coming. Hampton City School Board members, again, thank you. Former HCS School Board members who are present, please stand. If you are a former HCS School Board member, I want you to stand. Mr. Dave Pearson and Ms. Martha Mugler, Councilwoman Martha Mugler, thank you. The former vice chairman of the West Point Public Schools Board is present as well. The superintendent who hired me for my first principalship, where I served as the principal of my home elementary school, and then hired me to serve as in the central office, my first central office position as the assistant superintendent for instruction with the Amelia County Public Schools, Dr. Larry E. Hickson, please stand, and his wife Kay. I want you to know that Dr. Hickson taught me well how to save and deferred compensation. So I want you to know, Hampton City School Board, he is the reason why I can retire. He watched my finances all along the way. And he said, Jeff, you are not putting enough away for your deferred comp. Let's get started. So thank you for that. My greatest champion, Mr. George Ortman from Westmoreland County. Thank you. Please stand, Mr. George. I want to thank you. There are superintendents who hired me to serve as their assistant superintendent for academic services or instruction. Williamsburg, James City County Public Schools. I know Williamsburg, James City County Public Schools. I saw Carol Beers, Dr. Carol Beers here. Please stand, Carol. I want you. She is responsible for me coming to the peninsula. Thank you. Newport News City Public Schools, I saw Dr. Ashby Kilgore. Where are you, Dr. Kilgore? Colleagues and team members from various places I have worked, you are present, thank you for being here. Community board members and colleagues, thank you. Fraternity brothers, community leaders who are present, faith leaders who are present, HCS division and school leaders, teachers, support staff, students, families of students. If you are indeed a member of the HCS team, I need you to stand. College and university leaders are present, members of the congregations that I've pastored and currently pastoring. I know Union Prospect Baptist Church, where I served for 18 and a half years as the pastor there, and my current assignment at the Garland Avenue Baptist Church. Please stand, members. I want you to stand at this time. Last but certainly not least of all who are present, members of the HCS Division Leadership Team and retired members of our team, please stand. I want to recognize you. Together, we have worked to build from places of strength and embrace the fact that there are no shortcuts to excellence. You believed with me that there must be a vision, otherwise the people will vanish. And without the work, the faith that we have is simply nothing. Dr. Woods said it in her remarks at the recent Virginia Peninsula Community College commencement. I believed in walking by faith and not by sight. But for everyone else, they had to bring student achievement data to the table. You may have missed that. I believe in walking by faith and not by sight, but everyone else had to bring data to the table. And based on our current standards of learning assessments that our young people just completed, our preliminary student achievement outcomes indicate that we should expect all Hampton City schools to be fully accredited without conditions for the upcoming school year. What an awesome team. I said to the school board, I was planning Dr. Mason to retire in January. And he twisted my arm, and Lori was not happy about that. And I said, if I stay until the end of this school year, we need to make certain that as a team, that we move forward and continue our focus. You cannot accomplish this work in isolation, and no one person can do it all. It takes a team. And I'm grateful for the Hampton City Schools team. Please give them another acknowledgement. So please know it has been a joy to celebrate with you tonight the many successes of our school division and the young people we serve. Of course, you know I'm proud of the academic achievement and success of our students and our young scholars. Our successes indeed are worthy of celebrating. But this evening, at least in my mind, is not just about hindsight. Rather, it is an enormous opportunity for us to look to the future and commit to yet another generation. As we do so, let me share some exciting news aligned with why I agreed to a retirement celebration. I agreed to a retirement celebration only if we committed to doing something that would live beyond this celebratory moment. And if you're not aware, the Hampton Education Foundation has announced the establishment of the Next Generation Endowment Fund that will create a legacy of financial support for public education in our community, touching the lives of more than 20,000 students and teachers each year. They have agreed to remain connected and work together to find a fund that would move forward with its impact with investments. And so as a result, they will continue to engage our community educators and the Hampton City Schools to accelerate progress and to institute the most powerful and impactful ways to engage the community and to invest in our high-quality teachers, fuel engaged learning, and support students and their families. And so in this regard, I want to recognize and thank our school board under the leadership of Dr. Richard Mason for its action on May the 17th, just last month, in which they designated a special appropriation of $160,000 to the Hampton Education Foundation as a part of the Next Generation Endowment Fund. Let's give them a hand. The funds will be used to create a Hampton City Schools Future Educators Scholarship as a permanent endowment for the benefit of Hampton City Schools students. Funds from the endowment will be used for scholarships for students pursuing teaching careers in public education and who then commit to return to Hampton City Schools. And Mr. Mayor, there's more exciting news to share. Just this week, we learned that Centera Health has committed to a contribution of $160,000 to the Next Generation Endowment Fund. Dennis Mathis, the CEO of Centera Health. Please stand, Dennis. He is present tonight. Please give Dennis. Some of the board members of Centera, they are present. Please stand. I want to recognize you, and spouses, please stand. I want you and significant others. Thank you for being present. There are members of the Centera leadership team. Please stand. We want to recognize you. Centera, we want to say thank you as we recognize you for your far-reaching and visionary investment in the next generation. We thank you for your partnership with the broader community and, more importantly, for improving health every day. Thank you for enacting your purpose of existing to be the trusted partner to individuals and the community in their journey to health and well-being. So as we work to ensure continued academic excellence for every child, every day, whatever it takes for the next generation, I'm requesting that you consider giving this evening by using the QR code that is located on the back of tonight's program. Listen to this. Based on funds already received from sponsors for this evening's retirement celebration, beyond the expenses of the event, we project that $21,000 will go toward the Next Generation Endowment Fund of the Hampton Education Foundation. Give yourselves a hand, all of our sponsors. Listen, 160, 21, if my math is correct, I majored in English and journalism. I think we're at about $341,000 raised for the Education Foundation. Let's give ourselves a hand. I want to thank Old Point National. Thank you for being here, and the president of Old Point, thank you for sponsoring tonight, and all of our sponsors. Please stand. Brother Rob Schubert, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for serving as the key sponsor, and all of our contributing sponsors. If you sponsored in any way, please stand, because we want to recognize you as a sponsor tonight. Please do so. You can see all on the back of the program. Thank you for your leadership. I leave with you a message of hope, and that is tomorrow will come. Let us leave our footprints in the sand of time. In the words of a Quaker missionary, I shall pass this way but once. Any good that I can do or any kindness I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. Nelson Mandela framed it when he said, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to transform the world. Let's change the world for you and me and the entire human race. At the end of the day, I hope that I have been true to my abiding faith and that I have honored the life and legacy of my grandmother, Mama Susie, who believed in me and poured into me. Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is your best. Thank you, and God bless.
We hope you've had a wonderful evening and that your heart is full from being here together as we celebrate Dr. Smith's achievements. As we reflect on all of tonight's remarks, we can certainly agree that through Dr. Smith's leadership, together we have built a sustainable foundation that supports Hampton's one division, one transformation, fostering college, career, and the readiness of our pre-K to 12.
As we close, we would also like to pay special thanks to the members of the Fuzz Band for joining us this evening and providing us entertainment. We would also like to thank the convention staff and all of the individuals on the event committee who worked behind the scenes to ensure that tonight was perfect. And one last note, I personally would like to thank everyone in this room for your commitment to us, the future of our community. I'm looking forward to graduating in just 2 weeks, the portrait of a Hampton graduate. This room is filled with wonderful people, and we hope that you will take the opportunity to stay and enjoy a bit of fellowship with us before you leave tonight. Thank you.